all the metabolism, okay, your carbohydrate, your lipid and protein, okay. Your lipid metabolism plays a very important role in cardiovascular diseases, okay. And abnormality in your lipid level, especially cholesterol, LDL, lipoprotein, okay, levels. So all these are the major risk factors for the cardiovascular disease, especially atherosclerosis is the main one, okay, and we talk about myocardial infarction, okay, and other diseases. So generally, abnormal lipid metabolism, okay, could be a major factor, okay. So we have to focus on I think how are the dietary lipids, okay, content, and then how the cholesterol level is being controlled. And generally, if you look, the cholesterol metabolism, right, it will be altered, okay, it will be increased. So generally more amount of the, always you know that the body also synthesizes cholesterol, okay, in the liver. And even dietary cholesterol, you are taking cholesterol from various foods, from various lipid foodstuffs, okay, especially the oil and butter type of the food, okay. So when you take the lipid food, when during digestion and absorption, okay, and their absorption will be more stronger, and then they can be stored as triglyceride, right? Normally, you know, triglyceride is our lipid storage, okay. So this triglyceride which will be produced in the body, okay, mainly they come from the fat which you are taking in your food material, right, all the fat component, okay. That's why we always say we have to reduce the fat, okay. Now this fat gets deposited, okay, in the form of the triglyceride. And also later what happens, the triglyceride can be a, I think, stored as a major storage lipid, and later we actually see the formation of the lipoprotein. Do you remember the lipoprotein, the five types? Okay, you have mainly the LDL, HDL, very low density lipoprotein, okay. I believe that you have learned the structure and then the types, the characteristic. We are going to again little bit look at it. So this lipoprotein, so your lipid metabolism, okay, your lipid intake again triggers the lipoprotein, okay, level. So that is the reason in a person having hypercholesterolemia and lipoproteinemia, generally dietary lipid is a major factor, okay. And also some hormonal factor, right? We have certain hormones which inhibit the production of the lipid or the synthesis of the cholesterol, and certain factors which are increasing your cholesterol, okay, your cholesterol pathway, and also your deposition of the fat, okay. So generally these are the I think outline, right? We need to, when we talk about the role of the metabolism, lipid metabolism is closely related to your cardiovascular diseases. So under that, cholesterol, I think when we started the lipid, we have classified, right, simple lipid, derived lipid, okay, and then compound lipid, especially the steroid, right? Under the steroid, do you remember I have mentioned under the steroid, they are the derived lipid product, okay. And these steroids are cyclic in structure. I think I have shown the structure of the cholesterol, a cyclic ring structure with there is a ring of the cholesterol, serine ring, okay, same like your hormone structures, okay. Now, this cholesterol pathway is a very long pathway where from acetyl-CoA, okay. And again, when we talk about lipid metabolism, always remember the small metabolite acetyl-CoA. Okay, we are talking about carbohydrate metabolism. It is glucose and pyruvate. But just think of the way how the cholesterol level can be increased and how deposition occurs. Mainly the acetyl-CoA molecule is needed, right? Okay. In TCA cycle, first the starting product is the acetyl-CoA, right? And glycolysis, pyruvate will be converted to acetyl-CoA. So wherever fat is there, okay, the fat molecule, finally acetyl-CoA can be produced also from your fatty acids, okay. So dietary fatty acids, whenever fatty acids are broken down. So this acetyl-CoA is a major product. So any lipid synthesis, whether it is a fatty acid or maybe your ketone bodies, do you remember your ketone bodies? They are also related to your fat compound, right? Acetyl-CoA. And when we talk about cholesterol, you are going to synthesize How the body produces cholesterol. Think of the acetyl-CoA molecule. Okay, so you need a acetyl-CoA molecule to produce cholesterol in a body. Is it only enough? No, you need acetyl-CoA, and then there are certain compounds, certain ATP is also needed for cholesterol biosynthesis, and also we need certain coenzymes. Okay, so the first one in your biosynthesis of cholesterol, the starting molecule will be your acetyl-CoA. Please remember that. Okay, any lipid, acetyl-CoA will be the major molecule, and of course any biosynthetic pathway needs ATP, right? Energy is needed. You need 36 ATP for the biosynthesis of cholesterol in the liver. Okay, and what is a coenzyme? I think now you have already covered your overall metabolism. You definitely know any metabolic pathway cannot happen without a coenzyme, right? Coenzyme, either NAD or NADPH. So normally, as I have indicated, the NADPH form, the NAD coenzyme with the phosphate, that is very special for the fat metabolism. Okay, not for carbohydrate and other metabolism. Normally, you don't see this NADP. But for lipid metabolism, the coenzyme will be in the NADPH form. Okay, so remember that. Okay, you need 16 NADPH. Now, this is the main ingredients for your cholesterol. Okay, now before going into the cholesterol, right? Split the word into two forms. Chole means like related to fat. Sterol, it is a steroid. It is a derived lipid. Okay, and you can call it as a plant sterol. Animal sterol. Even plant has got several type of the sterol. So imagine how much a total adult, I think adult man with 70 kg body weight. So we have 200 gram per kg body weight. Okay, so if the body weight is 70 kg, then around 140 gram of cholesterol will be produced. Okay, now this is the production. Now here, where are the tissues? Mainly where the biosynthesis takes place. Okay, mainly always remember liver is a biosynthetic organ. Okay, so cholesterol synthesis takes place in the liver and certain amount in other tissues also. Now, where are the enzymes found? The enzymes are found again in the cytosol and microsomal fraction. So they don't need a special process and special transport like your fatty acid. Remember, there is a barrier, and then you need to have a carrier molecule, etc. So we don't need all that. Okay, it is present there in the lysosome. Now, can we look at the outlining of the pathway? See, any pathway, when we talk about the pathway, a glycolytic pathway, your TCA cycle, okay, whether it is a degradation pathway or a synthesis pathway, definitely there are certain steps involved. Okay, now in cholesterol, see, imagine cholesterol is a very big cyclic structure. Am I right or not? It has got 4 rings. But how are you going to derive from a small molecule of acetyl-CoA? Acetyl-CoA is only a 3 carbon compound. Okay, so definitely the cholesterol pathway has even more steps, like even 20 steps of conversion. But here we are going to look at the major stages in the cholesterol production. Okay, and then there are certain important stages which are being targeted for the treatment of the cholesterol, to reduce the cholesterol level and for drug treatment strategy, especially the compound, the intermediate called hydroxymethyl glutarate, which is being produced during your cholesterol pathway. Okay, so the hydroxymethyl glutarate is an intermediate. First, acetyl-CoA will undergo conversion and form your HMG. So this is the intermediate which is targeted for the to reduce the cholesterol, especially your statin drugs. They work on the HMG. They act as an inhibitor. Okay, so this is the strategy for the cholesterol reducing drug. Now, can we go into the pathway? Is the introduction enough? So now our topic will be learning outcome of the topic will be recognize the step. Recognize, okay, no need to memorize. Recognize the step involved in the biosynthesis of cholesterol and the rate limiting step. Rate limiting step means those are the important stages where cholesterol amount or cholesterol biosynthesis is being controlled, and where drug action, right, for the cholesterol lowering can act on the particular enzyme. That is the rate limiting enzymes. Okay, so we are going, this is the topic outline. Okay, now there are 5 stages in the cholesterol, the main one. Okay, first is the production of the hydroxymethyl but this pathway, remember, the starting compound will be acetyl-CoA. Okay, and second, there will be a 6 compound intermediate. See here, there are several new intermediates which you are going to learn, as I have indicated in biochem. A lot of proteins, several lot of conversions, etc. Right from the beginning, you are learning a lot of names, right? So as I told you, the pronunciation of the name, it will definitely make you remember when you write the pathway. Mevalonate, remember mevalonate, which is a 6-carbon compound. Then isoprenoid structures will be produced, okay, and that will be converted to a 30-carbon compound which is called as squalene. Squalene is the name of the 30-carbon compound, okay. Then the squalene will be degraded to cholesterol. So what are the 5 important stages? We are going to look at the 5 important stages. So this is the, I think, overview of your biosynthesis of the cholesterol. So what you have understood, to produce cholesterol in the body, you need a starting intermediate. What is the starting intermediate? Acetyl-CoA. Remember, acetyl-CoA, for all fat-related intermediate, your ketone bodies, okay, your fatty acid, all need acetyl-CoA. Okay, even cholesterol is produced from acetyl-CoA. And the second important thing is your enzyme. What is the coenzyme involved? We have to think about it, okay? In fat metabolism, remember, it is NADPH, okay? Now, the cholesterol pathway can be divided into 5 stages, okay? First, hydroxymethylglutarate, which is a 3-carbon intermediate, okay? It will be formed. That is the intermediate, which is the major step. Only this is the step where the drugs can act to control the cholesterol level. Then this undergo several conversions, okay? Now, are you clear with the introduction, guys? Can we move on to the pathway? Do you all have a paper with you?
Yes, doctor.
Yes,
Okay.
doctor.
Yes, doctor.
Okay, guys, so you just follow the steps, what I'm going to, no worries, the outputs to recognize the step, okay? So for you guys to know what is the starting compound and what are the compound conversions and then the final product, okay? As usual, you need to recognize. Okay, now shall we start the pathway? So the first step, you need 2 acetyl-CoA molecule. Please, you can do the pathway while I'm teaching, okay? So what is the first step? Acetyl-CoA 2 molecule will be converted to aceto-acetyl-CoA. So acetyl-CoA will be split, okay? You can see this one, okay? The lengthy chain. Acetyl-CoA will be converted to aceto-acetyl-CoA. Actually, this is one acetyl-CoA molecule and then you are removing the CoA SH. One H will be removed. So please note that step. Please write that step. Acetyl-CoA converted to aceto-acetyl-CoA. First step. I give you 1 minute.
Doctor,
Yes.
is it 2 acetyl-CoA converted into aceto-acetyl-CoA or it?
Two. You need 2 acetyl-CoA. Yeah. You need 2
Okay.
2 moles of acetyl-CoA for a start, okay? 2 acetyl-CoA will be converted to aceto-acetyl-CoA. So can you see here, it will be attached. So 1 acetyl-CoA and this is 1 acetyl-CoA, okay? CH2COOH. Then the CoA will be there. That is acetyl. You know acetyl, right? The structure. CH3COOH. That is acetyl, acetic acid. So first step, aceto-acetyl-CoA. Got it?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, now next step. What is the next step? The next step is a very important step. Aceto-acetyl-CoA. Again, you add 1 more mole of acetyl-CoA. See, I told you you need 16 acetyl-CoA molecule, right? Overall. So here 2, and then you are adding again one more acetyl-CoA molecule here. Okay. So when you add, then it becomes 3 acetyl-CoA. So this structure you call it as HMG-CoA, hydroxy methyl glutaryl CoA. Okay. So when the carbon atom increases, then it becomes glutaric acid, right? Glutaryl, hydroxy methyl glutaryl CoA. So to this structure, we are adding one more acetyl here, and then the CoA will be removed. Now the name of the enzyme is HMG-CoA synthase. See, this is a very important step, as I told you, in the cholesterol pathway, and most of the drugs can act to inhibit the HMG-CoA synthase. So what is the function of the HMG-CoA synthase? It will convert the acetoacetyl-CoA moiety into hydroxy methyl glutaryl CoA. Can you see here? Hydroxy methyl glutaryl CoA. So HMG-CoA synthase is a targeted enzyme for the cholesterol lowering drug. Okay. Now, so the second step is a rate limiting step. Please mark that a rate limiting step. Can I move on to the next step? Okay, now the hydroxy methyl glutaryl CoA will be converted to a cyclic compound. This compound cyclizes to a compound called mevalonate. Mevalonate, please note that mevalonate. Please write until the steps, okay. Mevalonate. Okay, now you recap the steps for a while. Okay, first, now you are already in the third stage. CoA will be converted to mevalonate. The mevalonate is a 6-carbon compound, okay, and here is the first NADPH molecule. You need actually 2 NADPH molecule here, okay, that is the energy molecule. You know, coenzymes are involved. At the end of it, coenzymes will produce the ATP, right? Okay, so here NADPH will be involved, will be converted to NADP. Now this reaction is catalyzed by the reductase enzyme, HMG-CoA reductase. So all the CoA molecule will be removed. See, until this step, you have the term CoA, right? Acetyl-CoA, acetoacetyl-CoA, HMG-CoA. Now, in this step of conversion, you are totally removing the CoA. So the structure will become a 6-carbon cyclic compound. Okay, cyclization starts to begin. Okay, now what is the name of the compound? Mevalonate. See, as I told you, please try to pronounce mevalonate. Then only, if not, it may be an error when you're writing the name of the compound. So you derive at the 6-carbon mevalonate. Can we move on to the next step? The mevalonate will be again, you are adding a phosphate to the mevalonate. Got it? This is your mevalonate and you are adding a phosphate. So it becomes 5-phosphomevalonate. Okay, at the 6th position. So this is again a 6-carbon. Okay, the number of carbon atom is 6. So mevalonate is phosphorylated or phosphate is added, and here kinase enzyme. Okay, mevalonate kinase. Kinase is involved in the phosphorylation, and here whenever it is phosphorylation, you need a ATP molecule, right? So you add a ATP here. So it is mevalonate kinase, and the name changes to 5-phosphomevalonate. in the next step, adding one more phosphate. So pyrophosphate. See, 2-phosphate means PP, right? PPI, pyrophosphate. So the compound changes to 5-pyrophosphate phosphomalonate. Here it is 5-phosphomalonate. So if it is 2-phosphate, you indicate as pyrophosphate. So this is the first conversions. Okay, first you want me to recap? Are you all doing, guys? Are you all okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay. So I again recap for you. See, first always remember acetyl-CoA is there and it needs conversion. And then you think about the HMG-CoA. Okay. So acetyl-CoA will be converted to aceto-acetyl-CoA, then HMG-CoA. Then the first cyclization starts from the HMG-CoA. Okay, and here the important intermediate which you need to remember is malonate. So first will be malonate, then 5-phosphomalonate, and then pyrophosphate. Okay, so these are the conversion. Now next, what happens to the 5-pyrophosphomalonate, right? It will be converted to 3-phospho. Okay, again there will be one more added here. 3-phospho means 3-phosphate, one more attachment. So 3-phospho pyrophosphate. Okay, see, when the phosphate group is attached together, okay, together means you call it as pyrophosphate, PP here, and then there is again one more phosphate. So the malonate first will be converted to 1-phosphate moiety, and then 2-phosphate, and then 3-phosphate here. And the next important diversion, right? The malonate is a 6-carbon, right? It will be converted to a compound called isopentenyl pyrophosphate, IPP, yeah? Isopentenyl pyrophosphate, which is called as a cyclic again intermediate. So here again some cyclization occurs and a keto form. Okay, a double bond will be produced here. So as I told you, you guys remember the intermediate. Okay, identify the steps and recognize the key intermediate. So remember, from malonate it is converted to IPP, isopentenyl pyrophosphate, IPP. If you have done up to IPP, let me know. So here, isopentenyl, what is the main conversion is, there will be one removal of 1-phosphate, okay, and then 1 carbon dioxide, okay, from this structure. So when you remove this, then it becomes a double bond here, right? Okay, this bond attaches here. So the remaining structure is there. And the phosphate which is attached to the 3 is also being removed. When you compare the 3-phosphate structure and IPP structure, you are removing a CO2 as well as 1 extra phosphate. So that's why you don't call it as the 3 will be removed here. Now this IPP is a 5-carbon compound, okay. This again undergoes conversion to one intermediate, which is dimethyl allyl pyrophosphate, okay. And this is actually an intermediate step. If you cannot remember, it's okay. Now this IPP is converted to a next important intermediate, which is called as geranyl pyrophosphate. Geranyl. See, as I told you, all these are cyclic structure, keto structure. But to know the intermediate, okay, how the cholesterol, I mean the various important intermediates and stages are important for you. So here the IPP is a 5-carbon, and this 5-carbon will be converted to a 10-carbon geranyl phosphate, GP. You can put short form as GP. Now how many carbon? That is 10 carbon, okay. And the 10 carbon again undergoes some trans and cis conversions. Interconversions means some side chain will be changed, exchanged. It will be converted to another compound, farnesyl pyrophosphate, geranyl pyrophosphate, and farnesyl pyrophosphate. The names, okay. So in the second stage, I'm going to recap for you. From the pyrophosphate malonate, okay, first a 3-phosphate will be added. Then the main intermediate from malonate will be your IPP. okay, isopentenyl pyrophosphate, and this is a 5 carbon, okay, and it will be again converted to a geranyl phosphate, a 10 carbon, meaning the two molecules will be joining, okay, two molecules of the IPP, and here again from geranyl phosphate will be a 10 carbon. See, please remember the carbon, number of carbon, okay, because we need to derive cholesterol, which is a 27 carbon structure, okay. And geranyl phosphate again will be converted to farnesyl pyrophosphate, 15 carbon. You have reached only 15 carbon. So from acetyl-CoA 2 carbon. So these are the conversions still not completed. Okay. Are you all okay until here? Guys, are you all okay? Have you understood? Please remember the names and conversion. Can I move on to the last stage?
Yep.
Okay, good. Now, lastly, what happens? Two molecules of the farnesyl phosphate, right, which is your 15 carbon intermediate. Okay. So this will be producing the main cyclic intermediate in cholesterol, which is a squalene molecule. Please remember that squalene is a cyclic 30 carbon intermediate, 30 carbon cyclic compound. So this is the main compound for the cholesterol. So this squalene will be produced now, and you need for these two farnesyl pyrophosphate. And here again you have again the involvement of the NADPH enzyme. You need a NADPH enzyme and a synthase enzyme. So the next conversion will be the FP will be converted to squalene. Remember that squalene, which is 30 carbon. So two molecules you already reached 30 carbon. Can I move on? Now the squalene again will be converted to a sterol structure, which is called as lanosterol. Okay, again you need one more NADPH for the molecule, and then some cyclization occurs, okay, but you know the name of the intermediate only, lanosterol. Squalene to lanosterol, again 30 carbon, and from lanosterol again there are 19 reactions further. Okay, we no need to focus on that. Okay, we know that from lanosterol the cholesterol molecule will be produced, finally will be converted to cholesterol. This is your cholesterol, and remember cholesterol is 27 carbon compound. Okay, and you have again one more NADPH involvement. So there are 5 reactions where NADP is involved. So squalene, from farnesyl pyrophosphate, you have squalene. Squalene will be converted to lanosterol, and finally your cholesterol. Have you all completed?
Yes, okay.
Okay, so now to recap on your cholesterol pathway. So there are 5 stages. Divide the cholesterol pathway into 5 stages. Can you put the stages if you have written? First stage will be the synthesis of HMG-CoA, right? So in this stage, in the synthesis of HMG-CoA, only 3 steps. You produce acetyl-CoA converted to acetoacetyl-CoA, and acetoacetyl-CoA will be converted to HMG-CoA. So remember, this is the first and important and rate limiting step for the cholesterol pathway. Next, formation of mevalonate. Correct, right? After this HMG-CoA convert to mevalonate. Right. This mevalonate, again, there are 3 intermediate. It undergo further conversion. So this is the second stage. Production of isoprenoid, IPP, which is 5 carbon units. So how this IPP is produced? Mevalonate converted to 5-phosphoform, pyrophosphate, right? Then 3-phospho, 5-pyrophosphate, and IPP. This is the third stage. From mevalonate, phosphate, you are adding 3-phosphate. Then it will be converted to your IPP, isopentenyl pyrophosphate. Again, this is the cyclic structure. And next, remember about your squalene. Always know the squalene is the last stage, okay, last two stages. And squalene is a very big cyclic structure which has got 30 carbon. Okay, now can we move on? From IPP, okay, you convert it to 10 carbon GP, geranyl pyrophosphate, and 10 carbon will be converted to 15 carbon farnesyl pyrophosphate. Please pronounce the names, okay, then you can remember the spelling, okay. The correct pronunciation will really make you to remember. So IPP, geranyl phosphate, farnesyl phosphate, and finally you derive at your cyclic structure called squalene. Okay, squalene is a main intermediate. Okay. Now the last stage is squalene will be, what is the last stage? Conversion of squalene to cholesterol, right? So how it is being converted? Again, there are three reactions. Squalene first to lanosterol and lanosterol to cholesterol. Okay. See, there are several enzymes which is involved. Okay, and then the main thing which you need to remember, you need 18 moles of acetyl-CoA, okay, and 36 moles of ATP and 16 moles of NADPH is needed. Okay, so this is the overview of the pathway. I hope you have already, I think, written the pathway. So this is the outline of the cholesterol biosynthesis. Okay, at least the important intermediates and the stages should be remembered. Okay. Have you understood, guys, everyone? Can we move on to the next stage on cholesterol drugs?
Yes, okay.
Okay. So please, I hope you all have written, okay. To sum up, the cholesterol pathway, in synthesis of HMG-CoA, 2 moles of the acetyl-CoA. Actually, you're just drawing you just put the pathway and explain your step, right? First step will be production of the acetoacetyl-CoA, right? 2 moles of acetyl-CoA will be combining, and malonate formation, the HMG-CoA reductase, right? It will be converted. The HMG-CoA will be converted to malonate, production of isoprenoid units, okay? And then you explain whatever is in the cyclic form here in your pathway, you can explain, give the explanation. Okay, now when it is cholesterol, right? See, always remember, cholesterol is a very major important intermediate which plays a role, right, in reflecting, because it is a important compound which adds your, I think the wherever there is a lipid level in the body, okay, in terms of your other lipoprotein, etc. Because the lipoprotein structure, they also have the cholesterol, and then every day we are taking different type of the cholesterol stuffs, right? So this cholesterol biosynthesis, actually we have the rate limiting enzyme, which is the main important enzyme to be controlled if you want to reduce the cholesterol biosynthesis. This is, I'm talking about the endogenous pathway inside our body, right? I told you every day there is certain amount of the cholesterol is being produced. So this can be controlled by the HMG-CoA reductase. So HMG-CoA reductase is the main enzyme in your cholesterol pathway, okay? And sometimes the end product of the cholesterol itself will control your cholesterol, okay? So there are two main mechanisms. Now, when we talk about the other important hormones, etc., right? Okay, so the insulin and thyroxine. See, actually insulin and thyroxine, they act to increase the cholesterol production, okay? And the drugs which are specifically acting to reduce your cholesterol level, okay, especially they are called as a statin drugs. The statin drugs, compactin and lovastatin, they act as a competitive inhibitor for the HMG-CoA reductase. So remember, when it is cholesterol control and feedback mechanism in the body, the main enzyme targeted is HMG-CoA reductase. Okay, you know why is a HMG-CoA reductase? This enzyme is here. Remember, this is an enzyme, right? It is controlling the conversion of HMG to malonate. That is the role right here. This is the enzyme. Now, how the drugs act on your cholesterol? So the cholesterol lowering drugs will inhibit this enzyme. Do you remember competitive inhibition? What are competitive inhibitors? Mainly the drugs are acting like competitive inhibitors, right? So these drugs will competitively inhibit and block the activity of the enzyme. So what happens when this enzyme is reduced? It is not working, then the conversion, the HMG-CoA conversion, HMG to malonate conversion is inhibited and cholesterol will not be produced. Okay, so this is the main inhibition. So now, similar to the drugs, the glucocorticoids and glucagon, right, they also act in the similar way. They also inhibit this enzyme, but there are certain factors. Okay, the main one is insulin and thyroxine. They have a positive effect. Okay, they enhance, they actually activate and deactivate. So they are positive stimulators for the conversion. Okay, so when you compare, their action is contrast to the cholesterol lowering drugs. Okay, so this is the hormonal control which you need to remember. Now when we talk about the cholesterol lowering drugs, see, cholesterol control, okay, hypercholesterolemia, a major risk factor for cardiovascular diseases, right? Especially atherosclerosis. Any clinical picture, if you look at the case study, definitely you need a lipid profile is needed, right? So you need to know why, what is the role, and then because of the power of the lipid deposition and lipoprotein, etc. Right? So generally, cholesterol lowering drugs are called as statins, or you can also call as HMG-CoA inhibitors, reductase inhibitors. So the main one, we have several other marketed products. What is the main role of the drug? They will act to reduce the serum cholesterol level. How? By inhibiting the conversion of the or maybe the formation of the malonate in the cholesterol. And you already know malonate is very important, right, to produce the cholesterol. That is the second important step to convert. That is the starting point of your cyclization of the cholesterol. Please remember that. That's why these drugs can act, okay? And these drugs are very powerful. Like when this strategy is used, strategy means the inhibition of the HMG-CoA reductase. It can actually achieve 50 to 60% reduction in your cholesterol level. Okay, that's why it is still being used and very good drug. Okay. Now, when we talk about the drug lowering statins, okay, so here are the statins. See, this is your pathway which is written: acetoacetyl-CoA, HMG-CoA, and this is your statin. So they will inhibit this. They can inhibit this, and now this is your overall pathway. Okay, the final conversion to cholesterol. So please remember the action of the cholesterol lowering drug. Okay, and always remember the enzyme. See the outcome. The learning outcome of this topic, I think I have already indicated, to recognize the steps involved in the biosynthesis of the cholesterol. So please list down the step, okay, and especially if you do not remember the pathway, okay, I think this should definitely help you, okay, stages in biosynthesis of cholesterol, right? If you remember these, okay, definitely you can still recall the pathway, outlining the pathway, and if a question on outline briefly the steps involved in the cholesterol pathway, I hope you would be able to, right, and talk about what are the cholesterol lowering drugs and how they act, the inhibitors, okay, you need to list down, only listing of the cholesterol inhibitor. I think more you'll be talking about in pharmacology, okay, and aspects on the CVS, okay. So mainly when we talk about enzyme inhibition, see, always remember enzyme inhibition closely related to your biochemical mechanism. Okay, I think we have completed the first part on the biosynthesis of cholesterol. Okay, so please remember the two learning outcome of the pathway, and now we have already done your outlining, right? Okay, I hope you again recall the steps involved. At least the main steps you should write, maybe for a 5-mark question. Okay, a very important learning outcome, and listing of the drugs and how the drugs act. What is the role of the cholesterol? How they inhibit the cholesterol synthesis? Okay. Now after this, we are going to discuss the case study. Okay. So are you all okay, guys? Is everything okay?
Okay.
Fine, huh? Okay. So I know the cholesterol pathway is very big, you know. See, after that also you have 19 reaction, but we don't want to put that, okay. So now I have a small case study. Do you all check on this case study? See, this is, I don't need any submission, okay, for this case study. This is just for your added information, okay, and for you to comment on the results, okay, so that it will be easier for you to interpret, okay. And I have given some notes here, okay. Please go through, especially regarding how to categorize your range, and then what is a normal range for all the LDL and etc. Okay, now we talk about, this is a case on hypercholesterolemia. Can I move on, everyone? Okay, and after that we have a break.
Sure, doctor.
Okay, fine. This is a case study on hypercholesterolemia. Okay, now a 28-year-old man requested cholesterol testing because he had a family history of cholesterol. See, normally for cholesterol, family history is always commonly found. Father died of MI, and his grandfather also had angina. Especially, what are the two main targeted diseases related to cholesterol? Is mainly the angina and MI, okay, and also atherosclerosis, okay, especially the infarction, okay. Now, this person also had some xanthoma and etc. I think you know what is xanthoma. We have learned in hyperlipoproteinemia. I'm going to show you after this what is. Actually, there is a flow in the lectures today, so that you know like what to focus and how to interpret in your diagnosis, okay. So when we talk about cholesterol, we look at what is hypercholesterolemia and what is a clinical picture which is given for you to interpret it as hypercholesterolemia, okay. So this, looking at the history, first when we talk about the biochemical, right, in your laboratory interpretation. So as a third stage, right, it is very important, right, when you get the blood results, okay, for a heart patient. So definitely lipid profile, please remember lipid profile is definitely needed, okay. Is a very important factor to know where the problem exists, okay. So cholesterol level, right, this person's cholesterol level is 10.6. Cholesterol level can be indicated in milligram per deciliter. Deciliter means 100 ml, okay, or in millimole per liter. In some cases, it will be millimole per liter also, okay. So here in this case, the cholesterol level is given. See, what are the main parameters? When I tell lipid profile, okay, get a lipid profile. See, normally as doctors, I think you no need to go and list them, because the lipid profile is a standard test which all the clinical laboratory has. They have the profile. They already know like what is needed to finally arrive to help your diagnosis. So in lipid profile, normally you remember first one is cholesterol, triglyceride. Triglyceride level is the main one. Triglyceride is your storage lipid. Okay, always the body's lipid is reflected in terms of the percentage of your triglyceride. Okay, so triglyceride level you need to check, and also you need to check HDL, high density lipoprotein. It is a good, why it is a good cholesterol? Because it is actually having some, it is taking the cholesterol from your other tissues and removing it, okay. But when we talk about LDL, LDL is a bad fellow, because he is taking cholesterol, okay, from and then putting all in the tissues, okay. So transfer and I think reverse transfer. I think you have already learned about LDL and HDL. Still, I am going to show you about LDL and HDL, okay. So first TG is there, HDL, LDL, okay, and that is the ratio, cholesterol to HDL ratio. So these are the things normally which is requested for a lipid profile patient. Comment on the results which is given here. First, how about cholesterol? Anyone can comment on the results on cholesterol?
Elevated.
Elevated. See when we talk in millimole liter, even a point more than 0.2, 0.3 is quite high, millimole conversion. So here you see it is actually nearly double, right? 5 point is a lower range. When we compare the lower range, it is very high, the cholesterol level, okay. And triglyceride is a medium, okay, moderate. And HDL, okay, is also normal, okay. And normally in hypercholesterolemia, sometimes in some cases the HDL level will be lower, okay. So that is the reason where this ratio also will be affected. So in this I think patients with hypercholesterolemia and hyperlipidemia, the cholesterol level will be higher, okay, and then HDL level will be lower. So that is why this ratio can be altered, okay. Normally this ratio, okay, it should be standard 4, etc. Sometimes due to the high cholesterol, this ratio is 5.6. This cholesterol to HDL ratio should be 4, okay, less than 4. But here for this patient it is 5.6. Again, it is a indicator that the person is having hypercholesterolemia, okay. Now we just see about a little bit on the level. See, even though it is a case study, students need to interpret, but I'm just going to give you a guide like how to look into the cholesterol level, okay, what factor to look when you compare your cholesterol level. See all these cholesterol, okay. Now healthy range, okay. So total cholesterol, see when you talk about the term, I think total cholesterol is your total cholesterol. So when you tell total cholesterol, it will reflect all your HDL, LDL together. So the parameter which you are taking is your total cholesterol, okay. So it is going to give you a picture of all together, all the lipids. Now, what is the level? This chart is going to give you a range. See, are you all okay, guys? Are you all following me? See, in online classes, that is a difficulty, right? I'm not sure whether you're with me or not. Thank you. Okay, good. See, remember this carefully. First, can we look at total cholesterol? Okay. So total cholesterol, as I indicated, the range can be milligram per dl or millimoles per dl. So the normal range will be, I think, the optimal range. Optimal means to be standard, to be good. Okay, optimal. It will be less than 200. So if it is less than 200, it is optimal. Intermediate is 200 to 240. Okay, maybe intermediate means okay, maybe in future some maybe have a chance of hypercholesterolemia. High, above 240. Okay, sometimes 250 and 350. So here the level is higher when we come. See, can you see the range here? So in millimoles per liter, less than 5.2 and 5.3 to 6.2 and greater than 6.2. So in this case, how do you consider? So greater than 6.2 is a high, right? Cholesterol level is high. Can you check? Can you comment on this?
It's 10.6 millimole.
Yeah. So how do you characterize? What is your comment?
It's high.
High. Got it, right? Got it. So that is high. Now we look at LDL cholesterol. LDL is again a bad cholesterol. Why you call it as a bad person? Because this lipoprotein has I think is a main one. The main action function is to transport cholesterol. It will take cholesterol from the liver and distribute to all the tissue. So by then it is adding your cholesterol level, right? And also in the serum. So now this LDL always is again a very important cholesterol. Whenever the total cholesterol is elevated, LDL is also parallelly, it is like a pair, no? It is also highly elevated. Okay. Now can we look at the range? In milligrams per dl, LDL is less than 130. Got it? 130 is your range, okay? And the range, sorry, 130 is the optimal level, normal level for normal people. And maybe indicating a little bit of problem 130 to 159 in terms of milligram per dl. And greater than 159 or 160, definitely it will be higher. Okay, I'm very sure this range is very useful, going to be very useful for you. You can have a chart for your calendar to interpret your lipid profile. So LDL is 150. So normally you have a rough idea. HDL, when cholesterol above 250, LDL above 150. Okay, please remember that it is a danger. It is referring to hypercholesterolemia. Now, in terms of millimole per liter, it is 3.36 and 4.1. Okay. Now, can we look at the case? How much is LDL here?
8.1 millimole per liter.
8.1. So, where do you put it? Is it optimal or intermediate or high? LDL.
High.
High. Remember, so LDL, remember, always above 150, right? 150. So, here it is 159. Okay. Now, can we move on to HDL? Okay, HDL, the optimal range. Optimal means for a normal person. Okay, there is a range. Normally we call it as 40 to 60. So it should be less than 60, and also generally it should be less than 40 to 60. Okay. Now high is greater than 40. Okay. Now in terms of millimole, this is a thing. Now can you comment on here? HDL 1.99. See, HDL should be the low, it is good. Now what is HDL here? The range is 1.55, less than 1.55, okay, 1.03 and 1.5. Here it is less than 1.03. Yours is 1.99. So why it is coming?
Hi.
Hi. Okay, please note that. Okay. Now next, triglyceride. So triglyceride, the normal optimal is 150. Okay. And the range is 150 to 199. See, remember triglyceride and cholesterol little bit same. Okay. Cholesterol, if cholesterol is 250, triglyceride will be 200, 199. Remember that figure.
Wait, but doctor,
Yes.
isn't it the HDL is optimal because it's higher than 1.5?
Yeah, the HDL is optimum, right? Here, in your case, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, HDL doesn't show much here. Yeah, it is optimal. So you have to categorize. Optimal, it is not highly affected. Okay, now, so triglyceride, remember 200, the common figure. See, for each you put a common figure. Total cholesterol 250, above, definitely problem. LDL 150 and above. For triglyceride, it is 200. See, always remember the lipid parameter in terms of milligram, they are similar. 250 cholesterol, okay, and then 150 is your LDL, and triglyceride is your 200. Okay, so these are the main ones which you need to remember in your lipid profile. So any alterations in these 4 parameters definitely reflects your hypercholesterolemia. Okay, and the test. Okay, now based on this value, you need to calculate the HDL cholesterol ratio. See, whenever the HDL cholesterol ratio, it is once you already know the value, the results are there, you can calculate and then you can compare with a reference range. Okay, HDL cholesterol range and triglyceride to cholesterol ratio. Okay, that is also going to give a additional value for your diagnosis. Okay. Now in the lipid panel test, normally we use what are the lipid? When I tell a lipid panel test or a lipid profile test, etc., right? You use total cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, LDL and triglycerides. See, all these 4, first 4, these are the lipid panel tests. Okay. Now for each one of it, I think again the chart is here you must know. Please, this is the main thing. For total cholesterol, okay, what is actually total cholesterol is revealing. Can we see one by one? I just finish with these, then I give a break for you guys. Or you want a break? Can we finish this or you want a break?
You can finish it, doctor.
Okay, fine. I hope everyone. Now we already saw the lipid profile, and then I basically believe that you all can compare. Now you have the chart, okay, and you can do a reference comparison whenever a case is given. Now, what is the normal range and unhealthy range to know that which is healthy and which level is not so healthy, etc. Okay, and which is borderline. So it is given here. You just have a look at it. For total cholesterol, actually what is total cholesterol? It is actually giving the sum of all your lipid plus your lipoprotein. That is your total cholesterol. Please remember lipid and lipoprotein. Lipoprotein mainly your VLDL, LDL and HDL. Okay, so and the normal range is given here. Okay, and borderline and what is higher. Please note that this one I think we have discussed. And for LDL, right? LDL is a bad cholesterol. Okay, actually they say LDL is a bad cholesterol, but why? Because since it is actually enhancing, right, the promotion, and it is helping in the transport. It could be a major reason for your plaque formation. Okay, that is a reason that it is increasing your atherosclerosis risk and your heart attack risk. Okay, so LDL is whenever total cholesterol, the next factor which is following is your LDL. Okay, which is a risky factor. Okay, with total cholesterol, LDL is another risky factor. So please know the 3 range here which is given. Okay. Now, Next one is your HDL cholesterol. Okay, actually people tell HDL is a bad cholesterol, but actually what it is doing, it is only reducing your plaque formation. Okay, that's why we call it as a good cholesterol. So sometimes in a patient, if the patient is having very low level of the HDL, right? In some cases, you might be seeing a very intrinsic case of severe heart attack, or person does not monitor the cholesterol. Sometimes person will not monitor their cholesterol and they get a sudden heart attack, okay, atherosclerosis. They might have, they don't know, right? They have not checked or monitored. So those type of people, their HDL may also be very low. See, HDL is a one helping your LDL, right? Always LDL put the cholesterol in the tissues and then increases the plaque. HDL will help to reduce. But if a person has low level of HDL, so what will happen? So the HDL is not enough, right? I think it cannot compare with the LDL. Okay, that is the thing. So when a person has low HDL and when the cholesterol level and LDL level is high in that person, the HDL will not be sufficient, right? It cannot perform the function efficiently. So that is actually the main problem, right? So they say that when a person has lower level of HDL, it might be they might have a risk of the heart attack. Why? Because HDL is not there to prevent the damage done by the LDL. Correct? Got it? So that is the correlation. Okay. So that's why we need to check the HDL also and say and check that. Not to say the HDL should be very high. Please remember that. We should the person should maintain always the healthy range. That's why we have a category normal, healthy range, moderate, okay, and then high. The moderate is a big setting the risk, okay, then the high is a high, okay. And the next important one is your triglyceride, okay. Triglyceride, I think the another major storage fat, okay, and also major source of the energy, okay. Now any person got increased cholesterol also will have a increase. I think the triglyceride level may also be affected, okay. And meaning that this person in triglyceride, you mean to say that the cholesterol level is abnormal, okay. Why? Because always remember triglyceride is a major one. I think if you lipolysis is breaking of the triglyceride, right? Breaking the triglyceride into free fatty acid. So that part will be affected. That means this lipid is mainly telling that your lipid metabolism is abnormal, okay. And here this is talking the lipid profile, the HDL, cholesterol, even though along with the lipid metabolism, that is also reflecting your dietary lipid, right? Your dietary lipid, whatever we take more cholesterol food, then the cholesterol level goes higher, okay. So generally this is the endogenous lipid. Triglyceride is reflecting your endogenous, the lipid which is obtained and then stored in the body due to your lipid intake and your metabolism, right? Okay. So triglyceride again is a major source of the energy. So triglyceride whenever is affected, it also affecting your VLDL. I think after this lecture we are going to see little bit I think brief on the VLDL, etc. Then you know the correlation, okay. Now the triglyceride, you have the moderate range, okay, and the triglyceride is also playing a energy function. Remember that cholesterol is different, okay, but only triglyceride is a storage fat, meaning that whenever your body breaks down your triglyceride, you get energy, okay. And at the same time, the triglyceride is also bad because from triglyceride, VLDL will be produced. VLDL can produce LDL and LDL can produce HDL. This is a link, all the 5 lipoproteins are linked together, okay. So that's why triglyceride can again indirectly affect your cholesterol level, your HDL and LDL, okay. Now I hope this chart and then this information is definitely going to be helpful for you. And in addition, you need to calculate the ratio of HDL to cholesterol. Why? Because as I told you, why we are calculating the HDL ratio, you tell me, because we need to know whether the good cholesterol, the HDL, is enough or not, is sufficient or not. But definitely if a person's cholesterol level and triglyceride level go more higher than the normal level, right? That is why we are, so your HDL level is not going to be sufficient. That's why you are checking the ratio, okay? So for triglyceride by HDL should be 3 to 8. So your HDL level is lower. When a person has HDL low, and then the person's cholesterol is TG is high, definitely the HDL, the good cholesterol, even though it is good cholesterol, it cannot perform the function, right? It is not sufficient, right, to remove the plaque and etc. Okay, so that is a reason why you are calculating the HDL ratio. Okay, we have several ratios to be calculated. So this is generally a lipid profile, which is definitely going to be a guide for you, okay, to look at the MI patients, patients with MI, angina, okay, atherosclerosis, etc. Okay, and also other endocarditis disorders. So any heart serious disorder, definitely a lipid panel test will be indicated. Okay. Now remember, this person has xanthoma. I think xanthoma is a main important thing which I told you in a person has got hyperlipoproteinemia. I think you have already learnt about hyperlipoproteinemia, right? The 5 type of the disorder. I'm going to again show you after this. So this is also, this person has got cholesterol and then xanthoma, maybe a genetic disorder, okay? Hyperproteinemia along with hypercholesterolemia, the person has got hyperlipoproteinemia because it is family history. Okay, now I do believe that these things will guide you. Please go through again. Okay, now can we have a break? Now I think your class is 10, right? Do you want me to? We have a 5 to 10 minutes break, and then I have another things which is to be discussed on lipoprotein. Okay, that we will finish it. Or how do you want it? Or we
Okay.
join the 30.
5 to 10 minutes.
Can 10 minutes break, okay?
Okay.
We will join again 9:20, yeah? Okay, 9:10.
Sure, doctor.
Okay, thank you guys. Okay, guys, are you all back? Hello,
Yes, doctor.
are you all back? Okay, can
Yes,
we start?
doctor.
Fine. So I want you all to remember the lipoprotein. Do you remember this? Do you remember this lipoprotein structure?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, so you have learnt about the structure and type. So these are the ones which we are talking, right? LDL and cholesterol level. See, normally when we talk about the lipoprotein, first thing you already know what are the type of the lipoprotein. Okay, this is the base. We have chylomicron, VLDL, okay, and your LDL and HDL. Okay, so when electrophoresis is done, I think why they are called as lipoprotein fraction. Same like your serum protein electrophoresis, right? They are intermediate isosomal fractions which we need to do electrophoresis to separate them. Okay, when we do the electrophoresis of the plasma lipoprotein, chylomicron, okay, and LDL, VLDL, and HDL. This is the order. So these are the lipoproteins which you get, okay, in your picture, and also these are the lipoprotein mainly influencing your cholesterol as well as the lipid level in the body. I think I'm not going to go into the detail, right? This we have already done. This is the structure of the lipoprotein, okay? So now, do you remember the lipoproteinemia, which you also learned? What is hyperlipoproteinemia? Okay. Disorders of lipoprotein. Okay, no, we already know there are 5 types of the lipoprotein. And what are disorders? inherited disorders, genetic disorders. Why genetic? Because enzyme will be abnormal. And why enzyme? The protein synthesis process, right? I think at translation level, you know, the 3 cellular process may be affected. So enzyme cannot be produced. Okay, that is the reason. So inherited disorders. So inherited disorders, you call it as increased level of the lipoprotein. Okay, which is referred to as hyperlipoproteinemia. Generally, we call it as hyper and also hypo. But in the heart patients, okay, related to severe, generally you find hyperlipoproteinemia. Okay, so what are those? They are the genetic defects which is mainly affecting your lipid metabolism and also your lipoprotein transport. See, always remember the lipoprotein production is very complicated, right? I think after from the dietary fat, you need a carrier protein. You need to form the lipoprotein structure. Okay, I think with all the specific apoprotein, etc. So it is quite a very long process. And generally, the transport after production of the lipoprotein, the metabolism, how the lipoproteins are being converted in the body, which form is converted to which lipoprotein, okay, whether LDL is converted to HDL, okay, all these correlations. So generally, this lipoprotein can undergo conversions, okay, during the metabolism. So all this will be affected in the person. When a person has lipid disorder, lipoprotein disorder, there will be defect in the lipoprotein metabolism and also transport of the lipoprotein. Okay, now generally where you can see the lipoprotein will be disorders always will be seen as a secondary condition, right? Secondary condition in diabetes. Generally diabetes patients have high cholesterol, nephrotic syndrome, and all cardiovascular diseases. Okay, here one atherosclerosis is another major one. Okay, and all these disorders have abnormal lipoprotein pattern. Okay, and sometimes it can be inherited. So that is basically a reason for the hypercholesterolemia. Okay, now I think we have already seen in your lipoprotein. Do you remember this table? Classification of hyperlipoproteinemia. I think you have a SDL and I have given some reading material. What is lipoproteinemia? We have already covered in your general block. Okay. So generally classification, the lipoproteinemia, also called as lipidemia, is 5 types. Type 1, type 2, type 3, etc. I think we have seen these. So the 3 parameters will be affected in this patient. One is lipoprotein itself, okay, and then lipid level. So there are 2 important parameters. One is a lipid parameter and the other one is a lipoprotein parameter in this patient. Okay, for example, a cardiovascular atherosclerosis patient, right? Okay, so this person can have defect in the lipoprotein as well as the lipid level. Okay, so here this chart, I think we have already seen the chart I have given to you in your previous notes. Please check. If not, again, this is a very important chart to remember. What are the type of the lipoproteinemia? Okay, type 1, chylomicron, related to chylomicron, and then your triglyceride level will be affected. And defect, what is the main defect will be the enzyme lipoprotein lipase. So this chylomicron, this type 1, very increased risk for the atherosclerosis. Okay, now type 2. Type 2 hyperlipoproteinemia. Here we have type 2 is always related to LDL. See, I think, do you remember the order when I told you the order of the classification of the lipoprotein? Number 1, chylomicron. Remember the order. First chylomicron, then comes your VLDL, then comes your from VLDL your LDL, from LDL your HDL. Okay, that is the order. So that is how the production also. Okay, the metabolism. Chylomicron, VLDL, LDL and HDL. So from LDL, HDL can be produced. Okay, now we go into the characteristics. So here first disorder. So type 1 will be chylomicron. Can you remember that? Type 1 defect will be chylomicron and type 2 will be LDL. So whenever it is when the lipoprotein, see, can you remember that LDL is always related to cholesterol, high level of the cholesterol. Okay, LDL is increasing your cholesterol. So that is why you call it as a bad cholesterol. Now, when a person who has high LDL level, definitely the cholesterol level will be higher. Why? Because the increased LDL will promote the increased deposition of the cholesterol. Okay, so LDL higher, cholesterol will be higher, and a very high risk for coronary artery diseases. Okay, and definitely the dietary treatment is low the cholesterol in the diet. Okay, and cholesterol lowering drugs is also given. Okay, now here if you look at the defect, this person will have deficiency of LDL receptors in the liver. See, normally liver has some LDL receptors, so that could be the major deficiency, okay, to receive back the cholesterol. And type 2, again type 2 disorder, both LDL and VLDL will be affected. So whenever it is VLDL, it will be triglyceride. Remember, triglyceride and VLDL are also closely related, okay. Now in type 2B, the lipoprotein affected will be your LDL level and VLDL will be higher. For this patient, LDL will be higher, VLDL will be higher. What is the lipid affected? Again, cholesterol will be increased and triglyceride will be increased. See, please remember the correlation. Lipoprotein, LDL. Wherever is increased, your cholesterol level is parallelly increased. Okay, like which lipoprotein, which lipid, that is a correlation. Okay, if it is chylomicron, then it is triglyceride will be increased. If it is LDL, cholesterol will be increased, and both LDL and VLDL and also triglyceride. See, whenever VLDL, triglyceride level is affected. Okay, now interdensity lipoprotein is another type which is produced here. Okay, now we go to type 4. Type 4 is VLDL, very low density lipoprotein, which is produced from LDL. And whenever VLDL level is higher, your triglyceride level will be higher. Remember these are okay. But this may not be, triglyceride level may not be directly correlated to your cholesterol level. Okay. And chylomicrons and VLDL both will be affected, then your triglyceride will be affected. So this is basically the chart which is giving you a clear picture on the correlation and then the type of the lipoproteinemia. I think you do have I have just given a briefing on this. You do have a SCTL, okay, on a case study as well as a SCTL is given as usual. Please go through. I think afternoon you can complete that SCTL. So this is normally a SCTL, but I just want you to remember what are the points you should know. And then for this lipoproteinemia, what are the general symptoms, okay, and then the clinical picture, all that you can see xanthomas, etc. We have already covered, okay. You can also see your SCTL notes, okay, and you can complete the SCTL, signs and biochemical defect, etc. So basically these are the things which I want to highlight. And the one more important thing is your lipolysis process, okay. See, now when we talk about the lipid, right, you already know lipoproteins are important, right? Lipoproteins are normally transported in the blood, not like your glucose. Your glucose molecule is freely soluble, just when you eat, glucose will be released. But in your lipoprotein, what you need some process, you need some time for the transport, etc. Okay, these are the free lipid, which I think they are not freely like your glucose, etc. Now under the lipoprotein, first chylomicron, right? Chylomicron is the first one, then VLDL, LDL, etc. Now what happens normally, the triglyceride, right, which is the first one, okay, which is taken from your dietary lipid, okay, and this triglyceride can be broken down. See here, in the small intestine, your dietary lipid, okay, it will first produce the first protein, which is your chylomicron. So chylomicron will be produced first, okay. Now this chylomicron will be synthesized, okay. Now this chylomicron can be actually, when they come out, it will be bearing all your triglyceride from your dietary lipid, the triglyceride whichever we are taking, okay. Now this chylomicron have two fate, okay. This can actually be stored in your adipose tissue. That's why it is a very important factor for storage lipid. So meaning that whatever fat material you are going to eat, okay, that can be converted, okay, in the form of the first chylomicron will take it up as triglyceride and then it will release it into the adipose tissue. So this chylomicron will transport the triglyceride into your adipose tissue. That's why we have the storage fat there, okay. Now this adipose tissue you leave it, so this is normally there. And during starvation, right, when people, when the adipose tissue is broken, okay, whenever it is utilized, there will be breaking down of the whatever stored triglyceride, okay, it will be broken down. The adipose tissue, the triglyceride will be converted to fatty acid, okay. Now this fatty acid later can be utilized for energy. This is normal process, okay. Dietary lipid stored and then utilized, okay. Now in addition to this, what happened, okay, in the liver, okay, some amount of the VLDL will be produced. The VLDL again will be produced, very low density lipoprotein, right, okay. They also have some triglyceride, okay, that also can contribute to the storage adipose tissue, okay. And normally here the triglyceride, what happens to the fate of the triglyceride which is stored? The triglyceride will be normally acted upon by the enzyme. There is an enzyme lipase. Lipase is the main enzyme which is breaking, cleaving. Lipolysis means breaking your triglyceride, okay. So whenever triglyceride will be broken, it will be releasing the glycerol and fatty acid. I think you should now remember the structure of triglyceride which you learnt in your general, okay. It has got a fatty acid, right. So whenever you break a triglyceride, it will release the glycerol and fatty acid. So what is lipolysis? Lipolysis is a process which can occur in the adipose tissue whenever the stored triglyceride is broken down, okay, by the action of the enzyme, and free fatty acid can be utilized for energy. So this process is the lipolysis. Why lipolysis is very important and closely related to your cholesterol? I think it is related to your lipid level in the blood, because whenever your dietary lipid here, right, is increasing, okay, so definitely it will increase your storage triglyceride. That is one point, okay. And second, whenever your lipolysis process is defective, whenever the enzyme is not there, when the storage triglyceride are, I think, not properly like broken down, okay, your lipase is, there is a problem in the lipase, okay. So definitely that will definitely lead to the high triglyceride level, okay. In turn can be a factor related to your cholesterolemia, hypercholesterolemia, and also other lipoproteinemia, hyperlipoproteinemia. So this is very important for you to know, like, what is lipolysis process, okay. Now I think regarding the case study, I think I have already given the case study, right, on can you look at the SCTL on hyperlipoproteinemia, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please do the SCTL. I think you have all, I have given some notes for it also, okay, write up for that. And also you can refer to your previous note. There are a few questions which is needed and all are related to your hyperlipoproteinemia, okay. Now, metabolism of the lipid. So this is the last factor which I have to, I think these notes you already have. Please refer to your previous lecture notes also on lipid. Okay. Now what is the correlation between your lipid metabolism, okay, and when we talk about lipoprotein, okay, how the exogenous and endogenous lipid, right, how they are being converted, okay, and then stored. A little bit on that will definitely give a clear picture why LDL and HDL, okay, they are why they are elevated, okay, what is the correlation, okay. So to understand that lipid metabolism, you already know that most, when you talk about lipid, it is a lipoprotein, okay, cholesterol and phospholipid, okay. Now in lipid metabolism there are two pathways. One is a exogenous pathway and endogenous pathway, okay. Now first look at the exogenous pathway. I hope you all with me, okay. Later after this, I think I have put a picture video, some videos on the LDL, okay, lipoprotein physiology. After this we will look into that, okay. Now what actually happens, this is for your information, like how the dietary lipid are metabolized, okay. Now, in exogenous pathway, it is a pathway which comes from your diet, right? Dietary pathway. And endogenous pathway is the inside the body, the liver, dealing with the liver and the synthesis. Okay. And remember, we have the intestine, okay, as the main function, right? It has got the main, where you take the lipid material, your digestion, etc. Okay, so dietary fat gets into the intestine, and the first form will be chylomicron. Remember, the first produced lipoprotein. Okay, whatever dietary fat is being produced, the triglyceride, okay, it will be first converted to the chylomicron. Okay, now this chylomicron, I think please go and refresh the structure of the chylomicron. Okay, it has got some each lipoprotein has got a lipid component and a cholesterol component. Okay, now there are some apoprotein. I think there is a chart which I showed you for the type of the lipoprotein. Please look into that characteristic and type of the lipoprotein. Then only you can have a clear picture. So during metabolism, what happens? First produced will be chylomicron. Okay. Now this chylomicron, okay, the triglyceride, right? Normally this is the triglyceride which I refer. It displaces the triglyceride, okay, and then it can be broken down to the directed to the adipose tissue and muscle. Okay. Now this chylomicron also enters into the liver for the production of VLDL. Okay, this is the one converting from chylomicron. You get VLDL, VLDL to LDL, and LDL to HDL. Remember that, because there is always a correlation between that. Okay. So this chylomicron can be a reason, okay, it can enter the liver, okay, to produce the other lipoprotein, okay, even for dietary cholesterol, you need this. Now, exogenously, this is what is happening at the first stage. Whenever you take your dietary fat, it will be taken up by the chylomicron, and then some goes to the adipose tissue as energy. And then remaining goes to the liver for the production of the LDL. This is referring to the triglyceride. Now, what happens to the cholesterol? They can be directly absorbed, okay, into the liver. Now, in liver, what happens? So, the first production is only at the intestinal level, okay, the chylomicron. Now, when it comes to the liver is the next major organ which is producing all the other lipoprotein. What are the other lipoprotein? VLDL, LDL, and HDL. Okay, so the liver produces VLDL, LDL, and HDL. All these three, it can be produced and also it can be redeposited. Now, you know what is VLDL, right? I think the VLDL also, as I indicated in my previous, just now I showed you the metabolism, right? So, in the lipolysis, VLDL also can contribute the triglyceride. When I tell VLDL, it has got triglyceride, okay? So, that can show into the lipid metabolism. And the remaining fractions of the VLDL, it will be converted to a intermediate density lipoprotein. Okay, first VLDL will be converted to IDL. IDL will be converted to LDL. See, this is a flow, remember that, okay? Now, what happens to this LDL? Okay, this LDL again goes to the extrahepatic tissue, and then they can be produced, they can be the reason for the formation of HDL. So from LDL, HDL can be produced. Now, in the liver, there are certain receptors for the LDL, for the protein, and also in the extrahepatic tissue, we have LDL receptor. So that's why when a person has problem in the LDL receptor, right, in the liver, so that could be one of the reason in the lipoproteinemia. Defective LDL receptor will increase your cholesterol level, because cholesterol deposition, LDL lipoprotein mainly having the cholesterol in it, right? So that can be the reason for your added cholesterol, okay? Now the HDL again will be produced from the LDL. Now this HDL again can be broken down, okay, by a enzyme which is called as lecithin cholesterol azide transferase. So this can be reconverted to IDL, LDL, like that. So this is actually a replay and picture between all the four lipoprotein. Okay, this is actually the endogenous pathway which is telling the reconversions between IDL, HDL, and LDL. So normally the LDL is in the middle, right, which is produced here. It can be the play between the liver and the extrahepatic tissue. So when the level is increased here, then the deposition is higher here. Okay, and so that is the reason if there are more receptors in the extrahepatic tissue. So that is the reason more LDL and then more in the blood, and again it will be a defective picture. It will increase your cholesterol as well as your LDL. Okay, so that's why LDL is always related to your high level of the cholesterol, because why? LDL has maximum cholesterol inside it. Okay. Now HDL, again it is based on the LDL. Okay, you get your HDL. HDL can be produced from the the main function of the HDL is to remove the cholesterol from the extrahepatic tissue, and the cholesterol HDL gets to deposit back to the liver. Okay, so that's why it is a good protein. So whatever cholesterol is being deposited by the LDL will be removed by the HDL and brought back to the liver. So this is how the overall picture for the lipoprotein, where LDL plays the intermediate to increase your cholesterol, and HDL will make it makes a reverse transport of cholesterol to the liver. Okay. So, and in addition to all this is the endogenous pathway which is produced. The dietary cholesterol can also be added here from the chylomicron as well as from the directly from your cholesterol rich food which you are taking. Okay, so I do believe that you have understood this lipoprotein. Okay, now any increase it can also causes disorders like fatty liver, okay, cirrhosis. Okay, this maybe you can learn in your GIT system, more on fatty liver, etc. Hepatocellular carcinoma. Okay, fatty liver is another one of the main disorder which is having defect in the lipoprotein level. But we are now talking about the celiac system. Okay, so I do believe I have covered whatever points is needed for you. Before that, I just want to show. Wait, hold on, guys. Did you all? I think I have seen showed some videos to you.
Doctor, is there no sound?
No sound, Why, You cannot hear it, guys. I can hear. Sound is not there. Oh, and can you hear? Okay, guys. I think sound some problem. Okay, do you all get the video lecture there, which I showed you? Do you have it? I think I put it in your Teams. Can you watch the video later then?
Sure, doctor.
Okay, guys. So we have already covered on mostly on the lipid part which I have. So the main outcome, okay, the learning outcome on the part and the lipid will be your biosynthesis of cholesterol. Okay, please note down biosynthesis of cholesterol and then hyperlipoproteinemia, hypercholesterolemia, and then there are some questions in the SCTL. Normally you do the SCTL, right? So that also is going to be very important learning outcome. And the other part on the transport, okay, and the hormonal factor, which you have already, maybe you would have covered in your physiology, okay, that is for your just no learning outcome, okay. Always interpretation, how do you interpret the lipid profile and then the healthy range, what is the healthy range, that is also quite important, the case study interpretation as an important learning outcome, okay. Uh, so we have covered, I think. Can you all just go and collect back your lipid notes on hypolipoproteinemia? Okay, if you do not have, maybe I can share again. So I think I have added here. Please go through that. Okay, that will be helping you. Please answer all the SETL. Okay. So the case study which I have put is for your. We have already covered, right? That is no need submission. Only the SETL needs submission. Okay, SETL you can do it today afternoon and then submit it. Okay, and can we break? So I think we can finish the session now. Wait guys, before I just want to download to see how is the any doubts before I, do you have any doubt? And then the next topic will be cardiac enzyme. I think shall we start 11? Or you want, no, shall we start 10:30? It's okay, 10:30, right? We have started the meeting.
Doctor.
Can you hear?
Hello, doctor.
You cannot hear.
No, can.
Okay, guys, like this, so we have finished the lipoproteinemia and cholesterol. Now it is only your SETL. So we start the 10th cardiac, the topic, right, on enzyme. I think I have already covered the cardiac enzyme. So maybe a very short lecture, and then I will leave your time to do your SETL. Okay, so we will finish early.
A question.
Yes, tell.
About the SCTL. I don't see any question in the SCTL diagnosis in the case of hyperlipoproteinemia.
There is one more case study. See, one more case study.
Oh, in the case study, okay.
Yeah, that is your reading material. Okay, in one is a case study. So you have only one need to submit SCTL on hyperlipoproteinemia, and there is a case study with picture. Can you see that with pictures and all that? Wait, I can share with you guys.
Oh, okay. I can see.
Right? Okay, that is the one which you need to submit. There is a case study for the lipoproteinemia. And then the next thing, after the enzymes, there is a case study. So what I do, guys, 10:30 you join back the class, okay? And I will just make it very short because the enzymes you have already done, right? I think we have done it, and there are few enzymes, and then you can start doing your SCTL on enzyme after I finish. But you can finish and then you can log out, okay? And afternoon, you can use your time for your hyperlipoproteinemia SCTL. So by today, you will be completing. The enzymes one, I'll be starting, and then I leave it to you to do because it is a SCTL on cardiac enzymes. Okay, we have already covered, we need to know the listing, and there is one case study which we will look into that. And after that will be your write-up. So I will probably be finishing very fast. So from 11:30, maybe you can start your case study. You can do your case study. You finish that, then log out. For normally SCTL in the timetable, you log in 10:30 and you log out 12:30. And afternoon there is no logging in. Okay, you finish your, I think your SCTL on hyperlipoproteinemia. Am I clear to everyone? Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, doctor.
Oh, okay, guys. So just hold on for a while. I'm just checking to download the list for the calendar. Okay, guys, can you all see my screen here? This is the attendance. Please log in. I'm downloading the attendance. Okay, so now it will be easier. So why? Okay, what, Hisham? Hisham, are you there? Yeah, Hisham.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, Hisham. What you advise, like the lecturer, right? So once they finish the last 5 minutes, guys, at least do in the last 5 minutes, because we do in the first 5 minutes. I think many are logging in late, right? So once a session is finished, so they can go here, and then can you see here? Can you all see my screen? So we can download that attendance. So today we are going to standardize this method. So see here, I can download the attendance. I think this process will reduce the stress on you, Hisham. Okay, see guys, I need to check later. So make sure, okay, now this is the one which I'm announcing you guys. So make sure that everybody log in and we can find all the details here. Okay. So this is the pattern now the lecturer is going to adapt. Okay, so make sure that so I leave the last 5 minutes for your attendance. Okay, and then this will also reduce the burden on Hisham, but Hisham also can note, because now you're taking the screen separately, right, Hisham?
Yes.
Yeah, so that will be really hectic, right? The point. So we can, so during the last 5 minutes, the lecturers can download their attendance, and then that will be okay. So please note this. Okay, now whatever earlier is okay. So hereafter, this will be one additional document which we are going to produce. So please be careful. Okay, and do not leave your attendance. Okay, so try to log in. Okay, and then be there. Okay, guys. So can we end the session? I think we can leave by 10:30. Okay, the meeting, and your next session starts 10:30, right? We can leave now and start 10:30.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, guys, thank you. Hang up and join.